TJ, we're live now.
All
So,
right.
uh, for those that don't know you, okay, can you make a brief presentation of who you are, what got you to where you are, and a bit of everything that you do?
Yeah, for sure. So my name is TJ Stevens. I'm known by most as DJ TJ.
Mhm.
I got my start within high school esports in the Metro Atlanta area. I'm from Georgia, here in the States. So I got my start there, and then from there, I was fortunate to get to go to the University of Georgia, run the program there. I was club director for 2.5 years. And then I'm now pursuing sports broadcasting. So I now have left UGA and I'm at Concord, where I'm still involved in esports. I'm head coach for the Rocket League team here, alongside event director for our lands, and also executive producer for our weekly broadcast. And then I also do that for our NCAA athletics as well. I'm a producer for the broadcast. I hop on the mic. And obviously, that's where most people know me is for my talent there and how many events I get to work a year through being on the mic. So that's another big thing in esports that I do is I run events, constantly working within middle school, high school, and pro, which is now where I get to the culmination of what we're talking about today. I'm with the Kansas City Pioneers. I'm a collegiate ambassador for them, and I'm currently trying to do everything that I can to set up and, like the talk is named, help map that pathway between scholastic, college esports, and then up to the pro scene. So that's my brief snapshot of what I did and now what I do.
Amazing. So, how many hours a day do you work? Because events, coaching, broadcasting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, like, luckily, Concord has provided me with a scholarship that justifies a lot of that work. But I work a lot, probably too much. If I had to get like a normal estimate on it, I'm probably pushing full time. I'm probably working anywhere from 70 to 80 a week. I mean, it's I'm pulling shifts, that's for sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, there's always something in my life that I get to work on, whether it's athletics or whether it's esports, casting, production, or even playing. Like I have to sub in every now and then for some of the teams, and I play in a few things in my own spare time as well. So no, it's a double edged sword. Yes, I'm very busy, probably too busy for the average person in this field, but it's fun. There's always something to do.
Yeah, amazing. And what would you say is like your objective for next year with the Kansas City Pioneers? So I have a general
Yeah.
view on that.
So the dream is to create opportunities to where some of the best in college esports, which luckily I'm able to call myself the best of the best since I'm with KCP. Um, we're trying to make sure that the best students are able to get in some form of internship roles or part-time roles or full-time roles within professional esports as they are making their advances and their strides within college esports. Like college esports does a really good job of offering up opportunities for students to not only be students and make mistakes, but also for students to make a name for themselves purely off of this field, which is what I've gotten to do over the last few years, which is why I'm here now at Concord. So that's what we just try to take that pipeline that's already there, which is the college esports ecosystem and how well students can grow, and simply just extend it into our org, or at least try and create culture where maybe people can extend into phase, extend into Cloud9, Optic, etc. Unfortunately, not many of those groups are doing a lot. I think it's really only us and Gen G and Ghost who are actually doing the work as a pro T1, T2 type of org, who are willing to actually create those pathways. So that's the dream. That's the vision is internships, part-time, full-time jobs, just like any other major, just like any other business setting. Or professional setting. You come out of high school, you can go get a job in certain fields. You come out of college, you can go get a job in certain fields. It's the same thing, just trying to create it for pro esports.
Yeah, and especially it's very important because like pro esports networking is like you know is one of the most important aspects.
Yeah,
Apart
of
from
course.
all the skills that you can develop, of course. So like having someone like you to you know be able to connect those students with pro opportunities. I mean, it's amazing. So let me ask you this question like this: like if you were like a freshman and you wanted to go in the pro scene and you had like 4 years, or let's say you can land an internship like in year 2 or 3, like what would you recommend? Like, what would you do basically?
Yeah. So the big thing with esports right now is that most of the groups, in order to be in a spot where you can be valuable
Mhm,
enough for an internship or a job in pro esports, if you're a student, content and your social following is easily one of the biggest places to start. So, like for me, I've been able to gain a following through casting and through event organization, and so I have a respected opinion. That goes for content creators too. They get a following because people love watching their content and they have a respected opinion. And that's what these orgs value very heavily is ambassadors, which is what my exact title is for a reason. Ambassadors for college, ambassadors for high school, or for your game. Wherever you're popular in, just go and fully pursue that. Now, how do you do that? Twitter and LinkedIn have been the most successful for me in terms of where can people gain the most, at least sane following. Like you don't go to Reddit to get a sane following. So
mhm.
Twitter is where college esports tends to thrive. And then for LinkedIn, that's an obvious one. LinkedIn should be a guarantee for every freshman who ever goes to school ever. That's an absolute necessity to try and really extend your impact and just start connecting with anyone and everyone that you see fit. All you got to do is just say, hey, and start a conversation. And there's always something to learn from the rest of the world out there. Pro esports gets a lot deeper than you think, and there's a lot more opportunity than you think. I would have never imagined that me coming from Atlanta, working with Southeastern based orgs like Ghost, Detonate, like I would never imagine that I would go from that to then getting to work with a group that is nowhere near me up in Kansas City. But these opportunities just show up randomly because of the people that I knew who are now with the case or the Kansas City Pioneers. So LinkedIn, Twitter, you have to put yourself out there. You have to start talking. You have to start getting involved. You have to pay out of pocket to go to an event here and there. It's just overall getting known and then doing the work and having these conversations, which is that's just more so a long-winded way to say network. But again, for college esports specifically, you got to make sure you do it through Twitter and LinkedIn to start.
Yeah. And what's your Twitter and LinkedIn consistency or strategy?
Yeah, so LinkedIn, I'm much more hands off of. For LinkedIn, it's more so once a month with general updates.
Mhm.
Granted, with how busy I am, I could probably post a lot more. So, there's something I could learn for myself, I guess. Um, but the biggest thing about LinkedIn isn't necessarily posting consistently, in my opinion, which is this is where I'll probably get a little unpopular with my opinion, but it's what's worked for me.
It's working for
I'm
you, so
yeah, I'm more so using LinkedIn as a messaging tool, like almost purely as a messaging tool. Whereas in some days I'll sit on LinkedIn and I'll look across and I'll look at the recommended connections and I will go from there and I will just start adding. And then once those ads come through, start conversations and just meet people. I mean, that's one of like the most special things about our field is that like me and you are sitting here virtually, and almost all of esports is exactly like this, where we're sitting here virtually. But you can create those human connections just as easy as a DM, and LinkedIn's a really good place to foster those communications. Now, Twitter, on the other hand, that's a whole other thing. So, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, those are all algorithm based, heavy algorithm based. So, for Twitter, I'm posting daily, and it's always just a matter of what's going on in my life. Like, did we have a big game today? Did we win? Did I hit a milestone in game, or is it something bigger? Like, did I run an event? I got to make sure I thank my sponsors. Like, you just simply have to comment on what you are doing as long as it is productive to the space. Also, a lot of people may recognize my name from a few controversial tweets, and so this is where I kind of get a little bit on the gray area borderline. But you can't be afraid to speak out. Like early on in my college career, I think it was my freshman year. I've had a few tweets regarding specific controversies or schools or people who've spoken out in the scene, and I simply give my opinion, and I've gained a lot of respect for my thoughts, for my opinion. And that's a really big part of what Twitter is all about too, is that you can't lie, you can't try and be an exaggerated version of yourself, like you could on maybe Instagram or YouTube if you're making shorts, like, or if you're streaming on Twitch, you have to be an exaggerated version of yourself. Over Twitter, you can just simply be you, and if people respect what you talk about and want to see you succeed, you're gonna get that following naturally. But you're also gonna start conversations in the space. So that's what it's all about. It's just be honest, but also be consistent and comment about what are you up to. Like, did you play in a high school game? Post about that. Did you play in a league match? Post about that. Are you running a virtual tournament? Post about that. Again, as long as it's not just pure random crap about like
yeah,
sports or a player that you hate on your team or like something like that, people are going to respect it. So just keep it serious, keep professional, but also stay honest.
yeah. beside staying honest and being authentic, two main things that you said that stuck with me. Like, what else made you like a key person of influence on X? Because honestly, like every post you make has a lot of engagement. You know, like people trust you. I trust you myself when I go on X, and you know, you give your opinion about some news. You know, because sometimes, you know, like I see news, but when you do a repost with a quote, I'm like, okay, this must be important. So boom, you know, it's like, what do you? Yeah,
Yeah. Well, first off, I appreciate it. I'll take it. No, but
yeah.
my big thing where I got my main following and support from is I'm a very strong advocate of that collegiate esports is and should be almost entirely student ran. Like even within varsity programs, people should be setting up their students to succeed and to run events, to run productions, to run social media, to design graphics. And so I play into that narrative very heavily because I'm a very strong believer in it. And that's where a lot of my respect and following originated from was the student voice. And that's what I think a lot of us like we're all in college, like we go to class and then what? Like we're sitting there watching Twitter feeds scrolling endlessly or we're playing Clash Royale. Like we're not doing much. Like even for those of us who are working part-time like I am, like we're really not doing too much other than school and then maybe we're busy on some nights. So when you go and you post like I do and I give my opinions and students who are constantly on those sites are seeing those opinions and commenting on it and then you're having conversations, you're opening up the floor, you're giving people a chance to shine. That's where I started in terms of gaining the following and respect that I have. Now when it comes to the higher up level with professionalism and I would say probably school staff as well, that is where my work shines the best. Like for example, like when I go travel to an event and I'm a tournament organizer or I'm a director or I'm an executive producer or I'm going to cast. When I talk about those events and then I also provide my opinions on the scene or my thoughts, then that's where I get a lot of my respect from the higher ups. But it is a very it's a very hard place to navigate right now because esports is in a more political state than it probably should be, which there's two sides of. You can either be very radical and you're going to find fellow radicals within it, which there is many people like that. Like I'll drop one by name because he's a friend and I know that he'll appreciate this. Like Adam Antor is a really, really good example of a professional who maybe,
Recently,
yeah,
he didn't get, you know, he got
yes,
some backlash.
he
Yeah.
did, but that's what collegiate esports is right now. It is
Mhm.
absurdly political and absurdly radical. And Adam has a very good following because he's not afraid to comment on those issues. And because of his opinions, he gains a lot of student and professional opinions and respect. Now, granted, yes, his last tweet about the Fisher forfeits with the Georgia Tech Marvel Rivals player, that was a whole thing. But that's also the greatest part about commenting on these issues is that there rarely is a wrong answer. Like Adam makes some really good points in that argument, but also a lot of the pro players and people who commented on it also had really good points. But again, whenever people talk about that tweet and they say, "Have you seen this tweet?" It's Adam's face that pops up, and people know to look for his account. And so that's where I think a lot of my respect and attention and impressions come from. It's just being in those situations where you're not afraid to comment and you have to be like not afraid to be too radical about an idea and you can't be afraid to be wrong. So yeah, I would think that's a good way to put it.
I'm gonna ask you a straightforward question. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Are you behind the account of Collegiate Sports Beef?
No, I wish I was. No, actually, I wish I was. No, I have an idea. There's 3 people that I think could run it. I'm pretty confident about who it is, but it's not me, unfortunately. I wish I was involved. I love that account.
Okay. I just wanted to head out of my, you know. But
Taking the
yeah.
mask off live. That'd be funny. I wish.
Okay, so you also mentioned collegiate esports should be student run. Okay, you made you proved yourself like in managing DreamHack. You know, all the student-led initiative you've made. Okay, so it's very complex because well, let me see how I explain this. So like DreamHack has some standards, you know, some professional
Yes.
standards of how you should work, behave, you know, and students, most are very professional, some like are less, but like how do you like delegate responsibility, uh, and trust them to make sure that they meet the standards? How does that work? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's also one of the hardest parts about student leadership because whenever I make my points about how student ran esports should be, this is one of the first points I normally get is that how can you trust students to be professional? And to that, I raise the follow up question that you have to find the right people. It's not a question of if there are students you can trust. It's a question of where those students are that you can trust. I mean, working very closely with the UGA program, we're a 40,000 person school. There's a lot of people who you can trust. There's a lot of people you can't trust. I mean, even here at Concord, we're a 2,000 person school, and it's the same thing. There's a lot of people I can trust. There's a few people that I can't trust. That's just the way that life goes. So, in terms of the rebuttal to that, that is what my mentality is with these events is like when, like, for example, our entire team was mostly Georgia Tech students, but we have a vetting process. We have applications. We have resumes that we force students to submit to us as other students. So it's not about changing up the process. It's just about taking professionalism as a younger member of the community and applying it to your peers. And then from that point, obviously, me and my coworker DJ, we ran DreamHack together. We ran multiple lands together, and so DreamHack saw that. Saw the people we had vetted, saw the success of the people we had vetted, saw the success of the event that we created, and then they trusted us to then bring that to DreamHack because you're right. The standards are very high, and this year's DreamHack was huge. But again, it's not a question of who you can trust. It's a question of where can you find those people because they are out there, and college esports is much bigger than people think. Even in
Mhm.
your own town, like Atlanta isn't a varsity hub, but we still find talented people who can do the job. So yeah, it's easier than it sounds. I'll say that.
And how do you find them and vet them? Like, because my question is like for like a college freshman, that would love to work, for one of your events. Like, what skills do they have to develop? How do you vet? Like, is it their communication skills? Is it like their portfolio? How
Yeah.
how does that
So I
work?
guess I'll answer it in two parts, I guess. So first, how do we vet those people?
Yeah.
It's mainly putting out almost job board style ads throughout the collegiate network. So like for example, like I use my social media very heavily. A lot of the people I have hired, I have gotten directly from a Google form I put in my Twitter. So like that's a good place to start. Is if you know there's people who are consistently running events. Like I even do the same for pro esports organizers. Like I follow most of the DreamHack staff on all socials because they are the ones who tend to post the listings. It's no different for me and the events that I run. It's absolutely no
Mhm.
different. And then, again, what I was just talking about, the whole process, it's just bringing the professional process down. All right, now, what skills do we look for? My biggest thing, both on and off campus, whether you are hired for something or whether you're just working every night within your weekly productions or games, is initiative, but also creativity. College esports is a field that is very messy, but that's also a good thing because it opens so much room to be yourself and to be successful and to create new opportunity out of thin air. That's basically what I did with Kansas City Pioneers. Is that kind of just got created for me, which is crazy to even say that out loud. But you have to show initiative and you have to be creative. It's like Kansas City Pioneers, I went through 3 separate interviews where they asked for ideas and they asked how would I then implement these ideas with the company and with the group that they have. And then even again going back and taking it to a smaller level on campus, like with my production team, this is what I preach to them every single night: is that I look for people who are going to see a problem and take the initiative and the creativity to solve it. And it can be as easy as, oh, our mic is having issues with the gain and the wires buggy. All right, we need to find a new microphone, or we need to swap out the cord, or we need to tweak it between map 1 and map 2 of Valorant series. Um, because so many people just kind of see issues and are okay with it. And that's again the problem with esports being so messy is that that's a lot of the reason why is that people see issues and they're just going to let them go. But like for DreamHack, for example, you'll notice that any issue with the production was immediately fixed either during a match or was fixed after the match, and there's no exception. So not only do you need initiative and creativity, but you have to hold yourself to a high standard, and that's what I look for, because those are all very trustworthy statistics, but also very important in terms of when I sit down with my team and I talk about ideas. I want people to get angry. I want people to be motivated very heavily by whatever means necessary to find success out of any situation. And I think that's, again, that's a good way to word it. Initiative is the key word.
Yeah, and how many student teams did you have to structure in that event? Because yeah.
Yeah, so DreamHack was built up of a mix. Well, in person, we had our full production team and our tournament
Mhm.
organizers. So everybody who was talking with players or was involved in Twitch and the broadcasting process, everybody was in person, and then divided up into technical directors, into specialists, like with our computers, like basically like tech advisors, like IT workers, pretty much. And then virtually, we brought in even more students to help with the in-game work, like observing. Our casters were in person, our observers were not. And that dynamic really doesn't really matter, because as long as they show up and they work and they know their role, then we're cool with it. So it, as crazy as that event looked, it was really only about 3 to 4 teams, with 3 of them being in person, where we got to divide it up, and then just simply me and DJ kind of just overlooked it, and made sure everything stayed on track.
If I had this in college, when I was in college, I would have, graduated like way more with a way bigger portfolio. So I mean, it's amazing what you're doing. I mean,
I appreciate it.
and what would you say like is something the first thing that pops in your mind of like one thing students like really learn in the student-led events that you've run that they don't learn in class, that it
Yeah,
can only be learned in person
yeah.
working.
So the 2 words would be improvisation, yes, and composure. Those are easily the 2 biggest. Like every single night, like for example, like the last 3 nights, we've had a broadcast issue just sputter up out of nowhere. Like we're in the middle of a Marvel Rivals series and our mic just dies. But immediately within 30 seconds, we swap a mic out. And it's something that's so easy, but it's also so easy to mess up as well. Because if you're not
Yeah.
experienced in this field, or you're not ready for this field, then you're not going to have that composure, or the know-it-all to really show up. And again, it's esports. Things will go wrong. Like absolutely, things are messy and they will go wrong. So if you're not ready for those issues, if you're not planning for the worst going into these events, your event will never succeed, because a PC is going to die, a monitor is going to die. I think at the end of DreamHack Atlanta, I believe we
Mhm.
had, I think, 5 PC swaps and I think another 5 monitor swaps in the span of 2 days of play. And also Valorant got behind like an hour and a half because of it. And we had to shift the Rocket League schedule. But again, those are all things that I'm experienced with because I've done it before. But if you're a brand new director of an event and you have to look a team in the face and say, hey, by the way, you're not playing for another 2 hours, or actually, hey, you're not playing till tomorrow. Like I've had times where I've had to reschedule teams over a complete other night. And those are not fun conversations to have. So you have to have that composure. And then from there, you just trust your skills. Like I trust in myself to make the right decisions. And if it's a wrong decision, then I learn from it and go from there. But as long as I'm composed and I keep a level head, that's what it's all about.
Mhm. For so it's so I'm a freshman, sophomore. I've worked in a couple of your student run events, like, and I want to work in the pro scene. Like, what am I missing to be able to be ready to work in the pro scene? Is it my portfolio? Is it mine's? What is it? What is a mix? What is the perfect formula for you to be like, look, this student is worth it? Like.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's again, really good point. I would start by saying yes, a portfolio, a very consistent portfolio is key, but you also have to show that as a student, you have already done something that other students haven't done. Like you have to
Yeah.
stand out. Like in my career, like if I had to name like top 3 things that stand out in my life that nobody else can say that they've done, like running the DreamHack Atlanta Collegiate Invitational is a big one, giving a TED Talk my sophomore year, That's a really big one. And then my involvement as both a club director and now a varsity member of a program. And those are just three small, easy things, other than I guess the TED Talk, that just stand out and show that's what TJ is all about. So it's about looking yourself in the mirror and your work and trying to find a way to explain it that shows that you are one of one, to show that you are irreplaceable. And that's what Kansas City saw in me. That's what Ghost saw in me, is that I was a representative, but also that I was an irreplaceable member of this community and of every team that I'm in. Because the way that I can talk about my events and say, this is what I do, and I'm always put in these roles, or I'm always trusted with these responsibilities. So yeah, it's about originality, to get involved in the pro scene, because that's also the hard part. Is a lot of these organizations don't have any collegiate pipelines. Like Kansas City Pioneers has never had an official collegiate ambassador until I got involved, and then again, the role was created for me. There is absolutely nothing stopping anybody who listens to this from going and messaging Cloud9 or Phase or Optic or whatever you're interested in. If you message them and you can get those conversations started, then at that point, you just have to make sure you explain yourself that, hey, I am worth these conversations. Like I am special enough to represent your brand. Like you have to show them the value because it's a brand new field. Obviously, if you were applying for a normal job, it'd be different because you would talk about your value to that specific job. Now, with how open the field is, it's what value can you bring and what could your job be? How many jobs could you fill? So that's, yeah, again, originality, but also you
Yeah.
have to want, like I mentioned at the very beginning, you have to put yourself out there.
Yeah, I mean, totally agree. It's the value you can bring, originality, and something that I stress because apart from running sports, and like I'm also a teacher at university, and I like stress them, my students a lot, and make them do like a lot of presentations in the sense that if you can talk about it, you can understand it, and what differentiates you, like how I think, like from what you've been talking and everything, like what got you where you are, apart from a consistent portfolio that you can do, the stuff that you plan, is how you communicate, like your communication. Like honestly, I don't know, like uh, there might be someone more talented than you, but your portfolio and the way you communicate, okay, like builds trust, and the way you can communicate an idea, and make the other person feel, that's that as a game changer,
Yeah.
and not many universities in many programs prepare students with the right communication skills. You can teach the theory, like a communication class, a theory, but like actually, implement it in practice. I think that's a game changer for students for when they graduate to land the job that they deserve. So
Yeah, and it's
yeah, yeah.
leadership skills as well. Like if you can communicate well, like again, I'm another student talking to a team of students just like me, and so I'm in a really tough spot where if I say the wrong
Mhm,
thing, I am now not only losing respect as a leader, but I'm losing potentially friends, or I'm losing efficiency in my team's workflow because I'm in a very soft spot as another student leading other students. So no, I'm right there with you. Like yeah, communication is huge, but that also goes to then grow into leadership skills and how you can manage
mhm.
team environments. That's why all your school projects are very important. It's where you learn a lot of that from.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. And out of curiosity, how did you land that TED talk on your sophomore year?
Yeah, so that's actually a really funny story. So UGA and TED have a collaboration every single year, where you apply in the fall, you talk in the spring. It's a wonderful event, and many campuses across the nation and even across the world offer TED. They're called TEDx talks, not just TED talks, because they're TED in collaboration with another group. So you have to look for the closest organization to you where that's even an option. And then from there, it's an application process. At UGA specifically, you write a brief idea, like a paragraph of what you want to talk about. And then you get invited to round one of interviews where you go in further detail, round two of interviews where you talk about yourself and how it applies to the idea. You then flesh out the idea a little more. And then the final round is basically you almost writing your full TED talk and going through the motions with the team. And then if they like your idea, then it's a matter of taking that and reforming it for months and months and months, and then obviously practicing it. And then you just have to, have the, I don't know a better word for it. You have to have the you know what to get up on stage at that point and just do your job. So no, it's about finding a TEDx talk or near you and then just applying and then going from there.
So if you had to summarize what we've been talking for the past half hour, in order for a college student, to go into the pro scene, what would it be? Is it building a community while you build your portfolio? Any experience thought you have, communicating in a professional manner to start? Like, what would you would say the pipeline from collegiate to pro?
Yeah. Well, so I think the key word to start is it's open. I think it's a really good way to start it because that means that there is
Okay.
so much room for any individual person to create their own opportunity and to represent any group that they want as long as they can create interest for said thing. That also goes for on campus as well. You have to create opportunity out of your school. Like many club programs, like me and UGA, like we've struggled for years to gather funding, but we talked to the computer science department. They didn't want anything to do with us. We talked to business. They didn't want anything to do with us. It was actually journalism who wanted to take us in because they have an institute dedicated to new technology and new media. And so, us as esports, we go in those meetings. We say, this is what we can do for you. And then, once they're interested, then you can start having a more even conversation back and forth about what can they do for you. But if you do not constantly find ways to make yourself original and valuable, then there is no pipeline from collegiate to pro. And that also goes on to talk about really getting a normal job as well. Like you still have to stand out, just not as hard as you do in esports because there is so much creativity and so much passion and talent within our field. But very few people have the strength internally and the mental strength to put themselves on a pedestal and I will say talk their mess and really talk what they can do and show confidence. So you almost have to have an ego in a sense as well, obviously to an extent, because you want to make sure that you're not coming off too strong. But you learn that very quickly, but through the conversations with your I'm trying to think of a better word, with your fellow students, but also with your admin or any adults in your life as well. Like you'll find that okay. I wouldn't think
Mhm.
anybody's incapable of that. So anyways, to summarize that, to make it very simple, esports is open. Go take advantage of it.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. And for next year, what would be like one main objective that you want to focus? What would be like the North Star for next year?
I think the dream would be to have Kansas City Pioneers. Like I would love to have multiple people who are ambassadors or interns who are active students. That's the big key word is that active students should run college esports, not just students, active undergrad or graduate students who are on campus, who are doing the work, and then showing up and still making time to make things happen. So the dream would be easily to see students get more opportunities to join pro teams,
Hmm.
not just here with Kansas City. But also with groups all across the nation and across the world. Like Gen G is starting to accept students. Once those big, large, like massive orgs start this, it's gonna take off like wildfire. And luckily, like again, it's so open. You can go and you can create a college position at any given org if you can get into the right places and just say the right words and follow the right objectives. So yeah, I think that probably summarizes it. I think that's the dream. It's just more college students in orgs.
Amazing. Well, students, add a value, differentiate yourself, and then connect with TJ.
Yeah, let's do it.
Is there is there anything that we haven't talked about that you would like to mention?
I know. I mean, the only thing is, don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Like I was fortunate to have multiple mentors at my high school program. I had a head coach, and I also had a county wide kind of manager, who was experienced within business and the semi pro side of esports as it was still growing before COVID, like for the 10 years before COVID. So yeah, that's the other thing is that you can be confident, but that's never going to happen if you're afraid to mess up. You have to be
Yeah.
willing that there's going to be opportunities that you missed out on. Like my greatest example as of most recent is like, for example, like I had a lot of really good offers and I chose to be here at Concord. And that's a scary thought is that I left UGA, a huge school, my dream school as a high schooler, and I left that to go pursue something else. And you know, and maybe it's the wrong decision, maybe it's not. I don't know the true answer to that yet until I kind of get into the pro world and I get my career off and running. But I'm not afraid to make those choices in the moment because I trust my opinions, I trust myself, I trust how I feel. Once you have that level of internal understanding of yourself, it's open season from there. It's just a matter of you taking the initiative and just doing what your heart desires at that point. So, yeah, I mean, just that's one of the big things we didn't get touched on. Is just you can't be scared of failure, and you can't be scared of anyone in this field either.
And what did Concord, from what you can tell, but what did Concord, like offer you that you were like, let's go, and how does that help you to be like where you want to be like in 5 years?
Yeah. So the big reason why I left UGA was to pursue broadcasting in traditional sports. So Concord
Okay.
gave me an avenue to not only work alongside the esports productions, but to also get double experience within the NCAA athletic productions. So that was one of the big things of what brought me here. But also, I have a very high level of trust in. There's also a fly in my lab for some reason. I'm not sure what
Yeah.
happened. No, but I have a very high level of trust in what Concord has built because many programs have broadcast, but very few have student production teams doing those broadcasts. Sometimes it's just a coach or a manager putting it on Twitch. Sometimes the players have to stream their POVs. But Concord has a full student production team where I have other students I can go look at and say, can you make me an overlay for Rainbow Six Siege for our land this weekend? And it's already done within a day. So that's a big reason why I was here at Concord. That's why Syracuse was in my top five. That's why Baylor was in my top five. Winthrop was also currently looking at building a production team. Cumberland is also doing the same thing. So all those schools made it to that point in my eyes because of what they were able to create in terms of student production, but also for me wanting to pursue athletics long term.
Okay, so your idea is to go into athletics and be a broadcaster there,
Yeah, or a producer. I'll take either one.
a producer. Amazing, amazing. Well, TJ, um, honestly, a lot of knowledge bombs. I learned a lot. A lot of notes. I mean, I just love these live talks because I get to learn a lot, and the audience also gets to learn a lot. So, I thank you so much for your time, and hopefully, we'll have you soon here again.
A pleasure.